Hi, and welcome to Convos and Coffee. Hello. I'm so excited to see you guys today. How's it going? I am sorry that I took a week off last week because I'm working on a project that is taking up a lot of time and I can't wait to share it with you, but I'm not going to share it with you now. But I can't wait to share it with you because it's been really fun. So I'm going to tease it now and then I'll tell you about it very, very soon, I promise. So it's a muggy day here in Los Angeles. It's been like sunny, beautiful weather and then a little muggy. So I think that's just this time of year. Why am I holding my mug like right here? Anyhow, I'm going to give you guys a minute to log in, and I hope everybody is doing great. I didn't sleep well last night. I don't know why. Did everybody sleep well all the time? I feel like, I don't know, I'm gonna have to talk to Sally about this, my guest today, because I feel like we go through these phases, especially when we get a bit older, we go through phases of sleeping well and then not sleeping well and whatever that is. So, hi everybody. So, okay, I am going to introduce my guest today. Her name is Sally Mueller, and Sally is an entrepreneur, and she is a businesswoman who has worked with amazing companies like Target and Who What Wear and Click Brands, and she has also developed a product that I love, and she's the co-founder of MyWomaness. And MyWomaness has been at the forefront of anti-aging and women's health products, particularly for women over 35. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about some of the product development and some of her sort of really science-driven data on what has been going on. And because I know so many of you are from all parts of the world, I think this is such an important topic, and I really wanted to have her on because I know that so many countries do not talk about this. It's becoming and has become in the last couple of years really a hot topic here in America and in Europe in some places, but I still think not enough. And Sally and her partner have been really at the forefront of making sure that all women are educated and understand the importance of what happens to our bodies as we age and how we can help ourselves. So let's get started. I'm going to invite Sally now. Give me a moment. And yay. Here we are. They will come in. So what else? What's happening? Hi, Chris from Brazil. She's writing, aging is a part of life, but we can handle it. Right?
Oh my gosh. You
Hi,
made it
Sally.
happen.
Good morning. How are you?
Good to see you, Sasha.
Hold on, I'm going to turn up my volume. Or is it a little bit good afternoon for you? You're on the East Coast?
I'm in Central Time. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm concluded my coffee and now I'm drinking water.
Now you're drinking water. I got it. You
Yeah.
know what? I have my morning coffee and then, or matcha, morning coffee, and then I'll usually do a matcha in the afternoon. And that's my caffeine
Yes.
intake. If I do any
Yeah.
more, because I think yesterday I did a little bit more than I needed to, a little
Mhm.
late, and I didn't sleep well last night.
Right.
I
It
can't
really affects your sleep.
it really affected my sleep. I was like up sort of thinking, creating. I mean, I could have written a novel. Your brain's got kind of going. I'm, getting up. I'm sort of like, it's time to get up. And then I got up and went to the restroom and I looked out, it was pitch black. So I was
Yeah.
like, it is not even close to morning.
Yeah. I call it the 3 a.m. board meeting.
It's, by the way, that is perfect. It's the 3 a.m.
Yeah.
board meeting.
Board meeting, and you make everything much more difficult at that hour than
Yeah.
normally in the day. So
Maybe you're just solving a lot of problems that you're
yeah,
going to solve in
yeah,
a day. So either way, I think it kind of helps a little bit,
right,
right?
right, exactly.
Well,
Well, it's so great to be on with you and your incredible followers all over the world.
thank you. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so excited to talk about this. And I said in the intro, I think, first of all, we met some years ago. And when I was introduced to you at the beginnings of or not the beginning, but your journey with Womaness, which is a company that I completely support. I'm behind. People have seen me post about and talk about. But I want to start by talking about how you recognized this hole in the marketplace. So give me a little bit, because I feel like there's so many people that love the story of having you as a mother and as a businesswoman, right? Let's begin there and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to get on this journey with Womaness.
Yeah. Well, I've had a long career. Womaness, I would say, is my third pivot. But I started my career at Target headquarters. So I spent 25 years in retail, and I had incredible experiences building brands and really following consumers and what the shifts were, what their needs were, what their wants were, and just trying to always be on the forefront of what's next.
Okay.
And then figuring out what those solutions are. Is it a design partnership? Is it a new brand? Is it just new product?
Right.
And so I was in merchandising and marketing, and I had just an unbelievable 25-year career. But when I turned 45, I started, I was probably in early perimenopause at that point, and I started just getting this itch to start my own business. And I think so many women don't connect the dots at that point, that their hormones are changing, and it almost affects you reassess where you're at in your career, in your life, and a lot starts to change.
Yeah.
So I started my own business, and I moved more onto the brand side of the equation, trying to help retailers like Target and Nordstrom and several others. And in that next 12 years, I actually helped create a skincare brand for millennials. It was really one of the first clean skincare brands. I also brought Who What Wear to the masses. So it was a fashion digital site. And the two founders and I and a team created this whole exciting line of fashion. We launched it at Target. We took it overseas. Did partnerships with like Selfridges. So a lot of experience in product development and sourcing and merchandising.
Yeah.
And then Womaness really came about while I was actually working, and I was flying, back and forth to LA, New York, London, all over.
Yeah.
But I was in, full blown perimenopause at this point, and even started to know that I was like in full menopause.
Right. Right.
And I didn't realize that menopause was so many symptoms. And here I was experiencing, as you said, sleep issues, low libido, vaginal dryness, irritability, anxiety, all of these things, very normal for a lot of women. But because I didn't have like severe hot flashes, I didn't know it was menopause. And it wasn't until I went to a doctor that was really educated about menopause, which is very rare, as you know. Many doctors are not trained in menopause.
Right.
And she said, Sally, that you've got to get a hold of this. You've got, there's so many options available, including hormone therapy.
Right.
And at the end of the appointment, she said, and here's a bunch of product that you can check out on Amazon. And when I looked at that product, I was aghast. I just thought, nothing here is appealing. Nothing here is really modern and clean. It was probably the best she could find. I trusted that she had done her homework, but it was just a sign that there was nothing out there.
Right.
And this is, 6 or 7 years ago at that point. And so my co-founder, Michelle, and I had been friends for so many years, never worked inside the same company together, but we decided to do it together. So it's a great story of two friends coming together and starting this company based on our own personal stories and personal needs. And, when we first launched Sasha, it was like no one wanted to talk about menopause.
Right.
Like we were pitching,
I remember.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, we were pitching the Today Show and Good Morning America, and they said, we're not going to talk about vaginas at 9 in the morning. And now you can't go
Why
to work and,
not?
right. Yeah, exactly. Your viewership might go up, but you can't go a day now without reading or hearing something about menopause. So I think we were really on the forefront
Yes,
when
you
we launched
were. You
4
were.
years ago.
Yep.
We have so much more to do, and happy to share where we think we're heading.
Well, what you were definitely on the forefront, and I think I really related because at the time I as well
Yeah,
had gone through exactly what you were going
yeah,
through. At 44 years old, I just woke up one day and I just didn't feel like myself.
right,
I
right.
think it's important. I think it's important for us to highlight those symptoms because, as you said, most
Mm-hmm.
women that I talk to, even women in Europe and Switzerland and France
Yeah,
and countries that you think are completely ahead of this in a way, are not at all. Women go to their doctors and their doctors tell them to get on an antidepressant or it's
right.
fine, you'll get through it,
Yep,
which was what my mother was told. You'll get through it. But
right,
I remember I was in college and when my mom was going through menopause, she was very irritable. She was
right.
not herself.
Yeah,
She was definitely, she was just not herself.
right.
Whatever those symptoms are, right? Whatever it is, lack of sleep or just anxiety or whatever happens,
Mm-hmm.
like there is a shift.
Right.
And so it happened to me. I remember we were going away that summer to do a project and I just didn't feel in my body.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't feel myself. I didn't I couldn't put my finger on it. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
I definitely did not think it had anything to do with perimenopause
Right.
because when I went to the doctor and I took a test, they said, no, 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 you're fine. You have more than enough estrogen. You're totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't feel fine.
Yeah,
I don't feel fine. And
yeah.
I had nothing in my life that would have caused me at that moment to have the level of anxiety. And then what
Mm-hmm.
I think it's anxiety and also a lack of drive.
Right,
And,
right.
and, and
So,
being a person that was always very active and working
mm-hmm.
and quite like get up and go, to lose your drive is
Right.
depressing. So all
Yeah,
of a sudden I found myself getting depressed.
yeah.
And I thought, why? Anyway, they took the test. They said, you're fine. 3 months later, I remember driving my car and I was like, I am not fine. I feel
Mm-hmm.
super depressed. I do not feel right. I
Mm-hmm.
called the doctor back. I asked them to do my tests again. They did. And my estrogen had just plummeted in
Wow. Yeah,
3 months.
yeah.
And so I always tell people, especially now, so many people, when you hit 40 and you start going, pay attention, look at
Mm-hmm.
these symptoms, understand that, like, whether you have a baby or you don't have a baby, and if you do have a baby, sometimes afterward, we do have big drops.
Yes.
And that really affects where we're at. And I have a friend now who at 41 had a child and it's dipping. And I said, you
Mm-hmm.
really have to stay on this because maybe your body will not go entirely back
Right.
and you're going to need some support.
Yep.
So I think that from a mental standpoint and a physical standpoint, it
Mm-hmm.
really does take over. And so same thing. I was offered hormones because of my family history. I was able to get on it. It helped me profusely. A lot of women
Mm-hmm.
can't do it.
Right.
But what I loved when I met you was that when we talked about
Mm-hmm.
womanness, you really were targeting those specific products developed towards specific symptoms and things that
Mm-hmm.
we are experiencing. And you also were working really hard on education. And your
Yes.
mission was to make womanness affordable and available to every woman.
Right.
It wasn't something that you just needed to have a fancy doctor or
Mm-hmm.
really a ton of money to be able to go and get access to.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, we want women to know this happens to every woman. It's
Right.
not
Right.
like somebody can get away with not doing it. Some people have it lighter, some people not, but it is something that also is over the course of potentially 10 years of your life.
Right.
It's not
Right.
just
And
that something, in 6 months you can kind of,
yeah.
you can kind of nail it and it's gone. It has ebbs and flows to it.
Right. Right. And new symptoms emerge too.
Right, right,
As you get further into postmenopause, which you're in
right.
postmenopause until you leave the earth, lot of people don't know that. So it's like
Yes.
between perimenopause and postmenopause, it's about 30 to 40% of a woman's life. But your
Correct.
symptoms change. You can, start to, your bones with osteoporosis can happen,
Right.
right? Hair loss. A lot of women, I think the top issue is libido
Yeah.
and lack of desire. And, they're frustrated and they don't know really what's happening. Um, of course, weight gain, hot flashes is not the most the most impactful
Right.
symptom.
Right.
It doesn't
It's
happen to
not.
everyone, but it's really the weight gain and the libido and sleep that I would say are the top symptoms. So
Yeah, and I think that all those things sort of affect, as you know, because you were raising children at
yeah.
that time, and so was I. We have two kids. You know, when you are, you're working a big job, you're raising
Hmm.
your children, you're always a
Right.
high functioning
Yes.
person, and then all of a sudden, you're not functioning at the level that you are used to.
Hmm.
And that just makes you feel like something is very wrong,
Right.
and you don't know how to fix it. You don't know what is the fix. And there isn't
Right.
one fix, as you said. There
Right.
are so
Right.
many things. Even with hot flashes, when I got those, they went through little periods of time, like 2 months, and then they were gone.
Right.
And then like I never now haven't had them for a few years. So it's a strange thing. It can
Yeah.
go away, it can come back.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Absolutely.
this, right? Yeah, it just fascinated me that, and we have talked about this.
Mhm.
And it just fascinates me how in history this part of a woman's life really, really wasn't given any love.
Right.
And
Right.
now we're changing that
Yes,
narrative. You're
we are.
changing that narrative. So many other women are changing the narrative. But I do feel like we were not given love. It's amazing how doctors went to medical school
Yeah.
and somehow post baby, women were like, okay, that's good. We're good. We did what
Right.
we needed for women and it's over. We're not going to have that conversation anymore.
Hmm.
When in fact, it is such a huge part of this whole next 3, 4 decades of our
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. So many doctors are now going through menopause themselves,
Yeah.
and now they're making it their calling to
Yes.
become experts in menopause and help their peer group. So I do think the medical community, there's definitely a lot of doctors we've been working with, meeting at events that are really passionate
Yes.
about this movement
Yes.
and, giving up the OB part of their practice and
Yes.
just focusing in on gynecology. So I'm really encouraged by that. And then a lot of those doctors offer telehealth
Right.
services, and they're
Right.
really trying to get licensed in all states.
Right.
Um, Internationally, maybe there's an opportunity for those services to expand.
Yeah.
But it takes all of us working together, right, to
Yeah.
change the conversation, which has really started to erupt and change very quickly,
Yes.
about menopause. And you're right, it was like the equivalent of old age, and it's not, you know.
No, not at
So we've
all.
been showing women going through menopause, like all of the imagery of our brand, and we feature a lot of real women or influencers.
Yes.
They're all women that are beautiful, that are not old.
Yeah.
And guess what? Old. What is old anymore, right? I mean, look at Mae Musk, or so many
Yeah.
of these women that are, in their 70s and 80s and they're glamorous and they're beautiful and they've taken care of themselves, right? So
Yes. Yes.
we're trying to also redefine
Yeah.
aging, and we're calling it more healthy aging, because that's what women want. They want to feel
Yeah.
good, not just physically but mentally and spiritually as well.
The other thing too is like, I mean, one is, I was just listening to oh, I'm going to forget her name. Is it Milka something? She was speaking about, the 50 over 50, Forbes 50 over
Oh
50
yeah.
women and thinking, oh,
Yeah.
there'll be a couple. And then she's like,
everybody was. And she's like, we are redefining and for young women
Mm-hmm.
what it means to age,
Right.
so that they don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to pack this all in
Yeah.
by the time I'm 35. If I'm not married and I don't have a career and I don't
Yeah.
have this,
Yeah.
it's all over. Instead of sort of take a deep breath, take
Yeah.
your time, and
Right.
understand that there is a whole span of time for you to be able to discover, rediscover, pivot, and do great things for yourself, your
Right.
family, your world. I mean, there just is, and we're seeing it happen all the time. I myself feel better now in my 50s than I have in years, like literally pre-baby. I feel like even though, I was functioning, there was still always energy dips and
Mm-hmm.
things that were going on that I wish somebody had said to
Mm-hmm.
me, you hit 40, this is what you need to look for. This is what you need to kind of keep your
Mm-hmm.
eye on, and just understand that's how it's going to be. Like, really embrace that, educate
Yeah.
yourself, get the support that you need, and don't feel like you're going crazy or
Right.
something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
Literally just understand that there are ways that you can help yourself. And so I I do want to I do think that you're right, and I do love what's happening
Mm-hmm.
around the education of that. And I love what you guys have been doing in targeting real women and just really changing that narrative, because I do see in all my travels and
Mm-hmm.
everything, it's not America, it is the world
Right.
that
Right.
just has very different perspectives. And maybe it's this patriarchal system of sort of being like, well, they had babies, so now let them deal with it. But like, that's not okay. And it's not the end of it. I think that,
Mm-hmm.
life is just beginning.
Yeah.
You hit 40s
That's
and
what a lot of women say. They're enjoying this phase of life. Yes, there's
yes,
some, you know,
yeah,
symptoms that
yeah,
set
of
them back
course.
and you can't ignore those. But overall, we have more wisdom, we're more confident,
That's
we
right.
have a support
That's
system
right.
that we can lean
That's right.
on. We're maybe, thriving in our career at this
Yeah.
point. It's kind of the no bullshit era, we like to
Well,
say.
I was just going to say, what I actually like about it is that in some ways, and I said this to somebody recently, because there was one woman that was annoyed, sort of had a little beef with two other women. They had a little confrontation. And I said to my friend, I said, yeah, but you have to have some grace with people right now,
Right.
over 40 and 50s, because everyone's kind of having their good and bad days. They're going through
Hmm.
changes that they're sort of acknowledging are changes, and who will they be on the other side of that, right? Some of them are fighting it. So there's
Yeah.
just an aggressiveness, there can be anger, there can be this, there
Hmm.
can be that. But then there's those that have kind of like moved through it. And
Right.
what you see is peace. What you see is light and peace. And you
Hmm.
see a wisdom that tells you life is not worth all of that. I'm going to work on myself. It's not worth all
Hmm.
that, let's say, like that headache and that, through it, and enjoy the things around you. Enjoy the things that make you happy. Learn to wake
Hmm.
up, learn to have gratitude, learn to enjoy the
Hmm.
moments with your family. Tackle those job things or goals that you wanted to do, whether it's literally playing pickleball 3 times a week and becoming really good at it, or whether it's, writing
Hmm.
something you always wanted to. It doesn't matter. But it's finding that purpose and that desire again. I
Hmm.
just think, to me, that purpose means everything. So when we lose our drive, or our purpose has to get there has to go through a transition, I
Hmm.
feel like um, people are dealing with that. But one of the things I said was, there's also something great about people going through it, because I hope for them that they will just get to a place where they're like, fuck it. I don't
Right.
care. I don't care. Like, none of that is worth my stress.
Yeah.
I can manage this in a different way because
Hmm.
I have the wisdom, the experience, and the desire to do it
Hmm.
differently. And I feel like I just see women that I know that were always incredibly high strung,
Hmm.
women that were very always on the go, ambitious, that have just
Yeah.
calmed down. They're more
Yeah.
pleasant to be
I
around. You
seen
know
it
what I
as
mean?
well and
Yeah.
personally experienced it, where I feel like you know, because now I'm 60
I
and, you know, working in a startup, raising money, doing all these things, you know, and what I've done now is like within the work week, which never really ends, I'm taking time to have a personal trainer, or
yeah,
I'm doing something, you know, because the days, you know, you can work anytime. So it's just the flexibility and taking time
yes,
to do something for me. And it's not about being
yes,
selfish. You
yeah,
know, so many women, I think, feel like, oh, I'm being selfish, but it's so important to stay
yeah,
strong and to take
yes,
time for yourself so that you can recharge and give back, you know, to your friends and family and your role in the world. So
yeah,
it's really
yeah.
important that we
I
all
agree
do that.
with you. I think it really, really is. And yeah, I think it really is, and it definitely has changed. And I think what
Mhm.
you're doing is, changing the narrative for women for
Yeah.
generations to come. Like it will only go forward from
Hmm.
here. But I do think it's important to acknowledge that it does and can start earlier than you
Right.
think it does. Every woman is different.
Hmm.
And we have now hear of women in their late
Yeah.
30s starting to go through things, and it's just not, they did never knew, and their doctors were saying it's nothing, it's postpartum, it's this, it's that, but it wasn't. So check your hormones, get your blood work, and
Exactly.
get a second opinion, and go to somebody, as you said,
Hmm.
that is really looking at hormones and what hormones do to us. Um, I want to talk about your products, but first I
Hmm.
just want to mention something you said, which is the other thing about this that really struck me is that when we have hormone shifts in our body, and like as somebody described it to me, you know, you want the shift to sort of like slowly start to come down, right? We know
Hmm.
that we're going to lose, our hormones are going to change, right,
Right.
over the course of 10, 20 years. But you want it to slowly
Hmm.
come down. You don't want it to be like
The
described
crash.
like a precipitous crash.
Yeah.
That's when we feel really bad, right?
Hmm.
So we want it to be like that. And one of the reasons that's important to then help ourselves with supplements, with
Hmm.
if you can do hormone stuff, great. If you cannot, you find something else that can help. But one of the reasons for that as well is that women are the most perceptible to get dementia,
Hmm.
Alzheimer's, as you mentioned, um, uh, as you were saying,
Yes.
osteoporosis. So we are much more prone to diseases
Hmm.
that they are now tracking coming directly from these changes in hormones. So,
Absolutely. There's a lot
so
of connection.
right, a
You know,
lot of connection.
we're working with the Mayo Clinic,
Right.
um, and Dr. Kapoor at the Mayo Clinic, she's a world-renowned, you know, menopause expert and
Mhm.
has like dedicated her whole career to this. And she talks a lot about the research that Mayo's doing and the connection between Alzheimer's and, you know, and dementia
Right.
to estrogen. And, you know, obviously there's so many benefits of hormone therapy. And we talk a lot about that on our blog. Even though we don't sell estrogen, we're huge proponents of it.
Okay.
And our product can surround, you know, estrogen therapy as well. You can definitely use our products in conjunction with hormone therapy. But ever since I think it was 2002, the Health Initiative study came out with so many flaws that scared everyone,
Right.
even the medical
Right.
community, about prescribing
Estrogen.
estrogen. And I think we're only at 4% of women are on hormone therapy. So
Wow.
they used, you know, before that it was, I don't know this, you know, the penetration maybe 20%,
Yeah.
and now it's only 4%.
Wow.
So, you know, it's so important for your followers to just find the right doctor. Don't be dismissed. If you feel
Yeah.
like in your
Yeah.
situation, you took charge.
Right.
You know, you knew something was not right. And that's what we all have to do is really push for the answers. And, you know, I think doctors really owe it to us to really know all the options available: hormone
Right.
therapy, non-hormonal therapies as well. You know, we definitely sell a supplement that has worked for so many women that
Yeah.
have hot flashes, brain fog, night sweats, and
Yes.
so many women. It's all it's naturally derived, clinically proven ingredients, but it's really worked. And that doesn't mean you can't also be on hormone therapy as well. So I've learned a lot about being, working with these doctors, also being a part of there's so many doctors and women like our, the Womaness team that are doing events, and we're
Yeah.
opening them up to the public,
Right.
inviting, women in. And I was just at one in Miami, and I learned a lot about, because I'm a breast cancer survivor. So
Right.
I can't take, oral or the patch estrogen anymore. I had to stop literally the day that I found out, but I now can take vaginal estrogen
Oh, wow.
because it doesn't really penetrate that much,
Oh,
into the body,
wow.
but it really helps with vaginal dryness. So the whole point was, you know, don't leave the breast cancer survivors out of the estrogen conversation.
Yeah.
So even that, the research around this is changing. And what I've also noticed is a lot of the medical community, there's, a portion of them that are very conservative. They know the research, but they're not progressive.
Right.
But what I'm also seeing is so many of these women are starting to branch out on their own. They're starting their own practice. Again, a lot of them are telehealth, and they're definitely research driven, but they're more progressive.
Yeah.
And so it just depends what you want to do as a patient, or, as a woman, what you're willing to do. But I think, I really trust, these doctors that are on the cutting edge. And, I think
Yeah.
the point is, don't be afraid,
Yes.
to try some things, because you almost have to put your own solution together.
Yes, you do. I was having brain fog for a while, and that was one we didn't mention as a big symptom. The brain fog is a big deal.
Big
And
deal.
that was another one that I think definitely led to me feeling really out of it, of just not remembering things. And then,
Mm-hmm.
your kids are like, Mom, I
Yeah,
told you
yeah.
this. And you're like, I really don't
I
remember.
know.
So I found myself, constantly having like a pad of paper and a pen next to me,
Yeah.
that if I didn't write it down, I would forget. And then I got on some supplements and I take a NAD and kind of a lithium-based
Mm-hmm.
supplement now, in addition to your
Yeah.
supplements. And it's completely changed. Like, I am full of energy. My head is totally
Yeah.
clear. I'm better than I was in my 20s. Like,
Wow.
I'm literally like this. But
Yeah.
it took some years of
Mm-hmm.
finding that formula
Right.
that worked for me, and we are all different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
think that's something that you're so right. It's like, don't give up, and
Mm-hmm.
really listen to your body and understand, when you don't feel yourself, and don't accept it.
Right.
Like
Right.
change it, go for
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely. I think also, really study the ingredients. Like on our website, all of our product, we break down all of our key
Right.
ingredients, and we use, frankly, very few ingredients. Like our menopause supplement only has 3 ingredients in it. Pycnogenol is the French maritime tree bark, so that's the hero ingredient. It has ashwagandha for calmness and bacchanides for brain fog. But my point is, do the research, know what these ingredients and these products are doing to help you. And if it's a concoction that you don't really understand, I wouldn't buy the product. I think transparency, we all, we just believe so much as a brand to be transparent
Yeah.
about what's in the product, and really explain what each one of the ingredients really is supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I think so many, our customers are so sophisticated, they are looking for certain ingredients. They're looking for, obviously, when it comes to skincare, hyaluronic acid is kind of a table
Yeah.
stake right now. You have to have more hydration during the stage of life. And so you're
Yes.
looking for potent, very hydrating products and
Yeah.
ingredients.
Yes.
But I just think, try to be your own purveyor or curator
Yeah.
as well. And, you know, because doctors are not always comfortable talking about supplements,
Right.
but supplements should be part of the
Of
regimen,
course. Of
right?
course. Yes.
So just do, yeah, really do your homework. And, you know, I can just say for our brand, we fully lay it out there, and we try to really educate women about the ingredients that we're putting in our products.
And as we talk about really like moisturizing, so in the evenings, I don't know how many serums I put on my face, but whatever it is that I put on and I'm all greased up, I have right by my bedside my Let's Neck,
Oh,
which
yes,
is one of your amazing
yes.
products, which is the best feeling thing in the world. And I literally just do this as Eduardo watches, you know, his last minute of whatever he's watching, and we kind of are
Yeah.
winding down. And he just sits there going, "Does it really feel that good?" I said, "Yes, it feels that good." And I just
Yeah.
rub away and get myself all
Well,
greased up. And it's like such
your
a
neck and
routine.
décolleté, Sasha, look beautiful. So you're taking good care of it.
You
But
know, I'm trying, but it just also feels so good. Like I like the textures, your smells you don't have any like chemical kind of
mhm, right,
fake smells inside of it, because I don't like that, you know,
right.
especially just when you're so there's so many wonderful other hero products. What's another one of your favorites besides the supplements?
Well, you mentioned serum. So Fountain of Glow, I
That's
think
right.
it's the vitamin C serum with
Yes.
squalene. And
Yes.
I use it every night too. My skin just, you know, it actually looks glowy, and then it
Yeah.
dries, and then, you know, that's what I put on at night.
And
So you know, it doesn't stay greasy. It's just very, very hydrating, and I love it.
yeah,
So,
it's amazing how many different things this time can affect. It's like your skin, your hair, your
right,
body, your mood,
right,
your
right.
memory. It's like,
App,
how many more things do women have to go
well,
through? Come on. Like,
there's over,
it's so
I've heard
unfair.
doctors say there's over 40 symptoms. And I've even heard Mary Claire Haver, a famous doctor, as you
Right.
know, in the US, is
Yes.
now touting, I think, 65 or something.
Really.
There's a lot of symptoms that people are not, you know, associating maybe with menopause
Right.
yet.
Right.
There's
Right.
more research that needs to be done. But there's, you know, even like your dental hygiene really changes. And some women have this burning tongue sensation, and a lot of doctors don't know how to help. But it
Interesting.
is definitely a symptom. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's
It's a
crazy.
more
I
obscure
haven't heard
symptom,
that one.
but if you have it, it's driving these people nuts. Like, you
Burning
know,
tongue.
burning tongue. Yeah,
Wow.
I know. I know. We've
Well,
had
I'm
women
sure
reach out.
that I also am sure that, and one thing we didn't mention is that along with all this stuff and keeping, you know, taking care of yourself, I think it's also, you know, clear changes to our
Yes.
diet, and also making sure that we exercise,
Right.
making sure we get
Right.
outside,
Yeah.
that we're hiking, we're
Lifestyle.
running, we're swimming,
Hmm.
you know, finding time, as you said, to take care of ourselves,
Right.
and
Right.
doing that is really, really important. You know, my mom, who's in her 70s, uh, is just so active.
Hmm.
You know, whether she's gardening every
Hmm.
day, she's constantly moving, she goes on really long walks with her friends. She just is constantly
Hmm.
moving, and she has so much energy. She's just really, but she says she has to keep active. Like physically, she has to move her body,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it really helps her mind as well. And we
Hmm.
know that, but I think that it's very easy to slow that
Right.
down as we age, instead of sort of go, no, I need to lean into it a little bit more,
Yeah.
because I might need a little bit more today than I did yesterday.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. Well, tell me now, tell us a little bit about, tell me just, I know that you've launched all over Walmart.
Yes.
So
So,
congratulations. Tell us where you're
yes.
at and where everybody
Um,
can find you.
we are, as you said early on in our conversation, you know, we're really focused on reaching all women, making sure our brand is accessible. And, you know, that means affordable, that means available. So
Mhm.
we're womaness.com. Obviously, our mother site
Yes.
is you know, a great experience. Um, we also have a Mother's Day sale on right now, so I'll
Yes.
just
Good time.
plug that. Good timing. We're available on Amazon, Ulta Beauty,
Yes.
And we just launched at Walmart. So we're in over 1,000 Walmart stores. And
Yay.
they're selling our supplements, our 2 vaginal moisturizers, and our body cream. So it's a really, it's 6 products, but we're really proud of being there for a whole new customer base.
Yes.
And Walmart's been really good to
Yeah.
us and really supportive. So yeah, those are our key retailers, and we plan on launching more products. Community is such an important part of our brand.
Yeah.
We have a private Facebook group called the After Party.
Yes.
So we have almost 10,000 women that have joined that, and that's a great way to put something out there, hear a response, and just interact with with peers from all over the world as well. So we're just excited, and we so appreciate all of your support and sharing our story with your amazing followers and community.
Thank you. Well, I know they appreciate it because
Yeah.
I do feel like the more knowledge and more
Mm-hmm.
education that we receive, the more we can begin to understand and see it. And even if it is that 5 years earlier than you
Right.
need it, at least you're going to remember and sort of say, hey, you know what? When I get there,
Mm-hmm.
this is what this will look like. Like, I wish somebody had said that to me.
Yeah.
I wish somebody had really prepped me, because when you think about menopause the way we were trained, you think, in my 60s, I'll start to think about that. But it's not true.
Right.
It's not true. And just like young girls are getting their menstrual cycles
Mm-hmm.
earlier,
Mm-hmm.
our menopausal symptoms are starting
Right. Right.
earlier. So a lot of
Yes.
things have shifted, maybe due to food or whatever other
Mm-hmm.
reasons, but
Environment.
they have shifted. And
Mm-hmm.
so I do think it's an important conversation to keep having over and over and
Mm-hmm.
over again. So I love what you guys are doing. I
Mm-hmm.
love that you're so committed to educating. I
Yeah.
love that your product is available to everybody, and that's part of your mission, and it always
Mm-hmm.
has been. So thank you for that. And I'm going to post all the links to
Okay.
everything
Great.
after this is done. And I so appreciate you coming
Oh,
on, and
thank
thank you for
you.
sharing your knowledge and your story. And it's always inspiring to see women like you who have managed to do it all and are continuing to do it all. More power to you. We know that we as women need each other. Always, but boy, is it wonderful to have a community of women
Mm-hmm.
when we go through this stage of our life that we can talk to, relate to, and share with, to know that we're okay. We're going to be okay. There are solutions and
Mm-hmm.
answers and things out there. We still have to fight a little harder to find them,
Mm-hmm.
but they are there.
Right.
So thank you so
Thank
much. Thank
you.
you.
That was
Thank you
so
guys for
inspiring.
tuning in, and I will share the products, and Sally, I hope to see you very soon.
Yes, I think I will.
Okay, good.
Bye,
Thank you.
Sasha. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.